After watching this video, you will have learned 7 steps on how to effectively learn and build your self-discipline from a Stoic perspective. Who doesn't wish for the ability to do the things in life whenever you want, such as exercising regularly, completing important tasks, eating healthy, reading, studying, meditating, finishing projects, etc. The problem is that we often can't do it because we lack self-discipline. We often can't bring ourselves to follow through on things we should get done. This problem was equally well known to the ancient Stoics over 2000 years ago, so they developed a few useful techniques to help us become more disciplined. First, start with small steps. Epictetus already said we should practice by heaven with little things, and after beginning with those, pass on to greater things. Willpower is like a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it becomes. Just as someone who does weight training starts with light weights and gradually increases them, we too should start with small things and work our way up the difficulty scale of self-discipline until doing those things becomes a habit. Second, be consistent every day. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have to assemble your life yourself, action by action, and be satisfied if each one achieves its goal as far as it can. No one can keep that from happening." Even when we have a goal and a practical implementation plan, most of us fail to achieve our goals. What is the reason for this? The problem here is that we are not consistent enough. We are not born self-disciplined. We have to show up every day and make an effort. Just showing up and being dedicated to our tasks does wonders for mental stamina. We learn to concentrate, focus, and come to terms with the arduous process. To achieve our goals, we have to get into action and put in many numerous hours of work before we can reap the rewards. Self-discipline is nothing more than the habit of consistency, showing up every day, doing our work, persevering and getting better to get closer to the long-term goal. Marcus Aurelius already said, "You could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow." Even if we have a bad day or things don't go as planned, we should keep at it every day. The ability to persevere makes us more disciplined and stronger people. A bad day does not have to turn into a bad week into a bad month, and a bad month into a bad year. Third, practice voluntary discomfort. Musonius Rufus said, "We use the training common to both body and mind when we discipline ourselves to cold, heat, thirst, hunger, meager rations, hard beds, avoidance of pleasures, and patience under suffering. For by these things and others like them, the body is strengthened and becomes capable of enduring hardship, sturdy, and ready for any task. The soul too is strengthened, since it is trained for courage by patience under hardship and for self-control by abstinence from pleasures." We are not to mutate into masochists here, but if we exercise our minds and bodies by voluntarily doing challenging things that we would not normally do, such as taking cold baths, sleeping on the floor, or fasting, we will expand our comfort zone. It will then be much easier for us to do things that require more willpower and discipline and that we were previously uncomfortable with. Voluntary deprivation is one of the ways we can build our self-discipline. I personally practice interval fasting and cold showers. It means that we are constantly testing ourselves, and by making life uncomfortable in some way on a regular basis, we harden ourselves. We begin to understand what scarcity and deprivation feel like, and that we can live with both if necessary. Seneca advised his friend Lucilius, Set aside a certain number of days during you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, is this the condition that I feared? Fourth, look for the right role models. Epictetus said, "It is indeed sufficient merely to withdraw to the company of wise and virtuous men and to examine their life by comparison with theirs, whether you choose your model from among the living or from among the dead." We can choose role models whom we admire and who are or were equally virtuous, wise and good people. We can ask ourselves the following questions. Who has successfully achieved this particular goal? Who successfully acquired this habit? Who has successfully made this change? Who has the self-discipline in this area? What can I learn from this person? We can then use their experience to discipline ourselves along our own path. Top athletes, for example, usually have a certain role model on which they strongly orient themselves. When we catch ourselves doing useless, unproductive, or even harmful activities, we can then ask ourselves, what would my role model do now? This increases the likelihood that we will be better able to discard harmful activities and habits and be better able to discipline ourselves because of the joy of becoming like the person we admire. Seneca wrote on this, "Choose a master whose life, conversation, and soul-expressing face have satisfied you. Picture him always to yourself as your protector or your pattern." Fifth, pay attention to your social environment. When we interact with people on a regular basis, it is inevitable that certain habits and ways of thinking of them may rub off on us. The kind of company we keep will determine the kind of character we will develop. If we spend most of our time with undisciplined people, we will find that this will rub off on us and we will also become more undisciplined over time, especially at the beginning of our journey when we have not yet built up an iron self-discipline. Epictetus sums it up, remembering that it is impossible to rub up against someone covered with soot without getting sooty oneself. 6. Practice the dichotomy of control. The dichotomy of control is the Stoic idea of separating things that are within our control from things that are beyond our control. Marcus Aurelius writes in his Meditations that things have no hold on the soul, they stand there unmoving, outside it. Disturbance comes only from within, from our own perceptions. If we allow ourselves to be troubled or distracted by external things that are not within our control, or get upset over trivial matters, they can have a negative effect on our discipline and cause us to drift off the path toward our goal. The best thing we can do in such cases is to apply the dichotomy of control by being clear about what we can and cannot control. If we can accept what is not under our control, we become more calm and can just as much more quickly focus on the important things that move us forward and that we can control. So, if we follow the dichotomy of control, we need to understand that we are in control of how we react to certain events, what goals we either pursue or do not pursue, whether we act or do not act in a particular situation, and our opinions and judgments we apply to situations. We have no direct control over the weather, natural disasters, politics, economic crisis, etc. Likewise, we have no control over other people or their actions, judgments, beliefs, thoughts, and values. This includes all the naysayers who constantly criticize, complain, or dislike something. 7th, reflect daily. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Characteristics of the rational soul, self-perception, self-examination, and the power to make of itself whatever it wants. It reaches its intended goal." A very good way to become more disciplined is to honestly question yourself daily and find your weak points. Seneca asked himself the following 3 questions at the end of each day. First, what bad habit of yours have you cured today? Second, what vice have you checked? And third, in what respect are you better? The evening reflections will help us to be more conscious of our actions and ways of thinking during the day as well, and as a result our vices will diminish. The diminishing of vices in turn means the growth of virtues, which includes self-discipline. So, to build more self-discipline, start with small steps, but be consistent every day. Harden yourself with voluntary discomfort, look for the right role models, and pay attention to the people you spend your time with. Don't forget to practice the dichotomy of control and take an honest review of your day every evening. Motivation will get you going, but discipline will make you grow. As American college football coach Nick Saban says, there are 2 pains in life. There is the pain of discipline and the pain of disappointment. If you can handle the pain of discipline, then you will never have to deal with the pain of disappointment. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel. And more importantly, share the video with someone who can benefit from this content. Thank you and stay inspired.